Hi, this is Chuck, better known as Low Tape. Today I'd like to spend some time on the pump and dump cycle. As you can see in this post, I always mention that the cycle starts with some sort of news from the company about restructuring. Either the company's restructuring, going to build a trade into a new shell, or they're going to do some share restructuring or something like that. Now normally this news will start popping up after a long time where there has been no news information at all. And after that, slowly you'll see a price and volume increase. Once that price and volume increases come up a little bit, you'll find them talking about funding, and then there'll be a new PR story will pop up, and then the run will come. This can take place over several months. Now I want to nail down to the specific stock that I was interested in talking about. It's STHG. There's been a lot of banter on my site about this lately, and just tonight I found out that there's talk of a new float lock playing some games around with this thing, and I just wanted to emphasize the structure of the setup and the fishing pond play execution that I've posted about before. So here we have our chart of the fishing pond bottom play. Now the fishing pond play is, you look at a 6-month chart and you'll see 3 volume spikes. 1, 2, 3. These volume spikes are telling you that the dark side, the big guys that are doing this whole thing, are accumulating shares so that when they get ready to start selling the shares and release the new PR story that they have developed, everything will be set. So what I say is, you drop your fishing line in to get a small amount of shares just in case it takes a long period of time. When you see the 3rd volume spike. That spike occurred right about here, where we were at 1 cent, or double 01. Now I've mentioned before that that's when you drop your first line in. Normally you want to go large when you see a double. Now in this specific chart you're going to see you went from 001 to 002. During that period of time is when you would be watching it, and as soon as you see the double, it would be the signal that they're going to let go of the stock after the first double, and that's where you can feel safe to get into the play. I also mentioned that these tend to double each time you get in. So if you've got your first double here, your next double will be to 4 cents, which is about here. Your next double will be to 8 cents, which is about here. And your last run for the roses would be, your 10x and above. And this whole run ends when you see the candle spikes up at the top. That's when you know that the insiders have sold all the shares that they accumulated here, here, and here, and they're done selling to retail, and that's when they move out and the whole thing falls apart. Now here's a post where I was explaining how the trade runs out. I say that you should have a first drop in a small order, say $100, so that if you miss the entry point at the first double, you won't get stuck. These plays are fast moving and can instantly turn around, so as always, never chase a running stock. If the double entry is missed, I recommend just riding with the small entry and seeing what you can get. But then again, as you can see down here, as I mentioned, that they rarely stop at the first double. Usually you can see after the double you see a 4x, then an 8x, then a 10x, just like I said. And usually what will happen is you find the emotion candle tail at the exhaustion day, and 90% of the time the play is over after that. No matter whether it's in 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, it doesn't really matter. When you see that candle tails spiking up high, that's the sign that the play is going to be complete. Now, in this post, I mentioned a couple things I wanted to talk about. When you see the double in price, that's basically the dark side saying, okay, we're going to let go. And this is a process when they let go so that they can draw retail attention. And what normally happens is with these double and triple zero bottom plays is that there isn't any retail watching them, and all of a sudden they'll allow the price to double and they'll allow the volume to spike, and this then will show up on the retail herd's watch lists and alert lists, and they will start paying attention to, hey, something may be happening here. And the whole goal of this philosophy is to draw attention, because they're going to let it go soon, and all the shares that they accumulated, they're going to want to sell to someone, so they got to get retail's attention. Now, I also mentioned down here that you'll see the price double usually happens before the PR is released, and that is something that is going to be shown a little bit later. Now I want to show you what I was talking about back in that standard pump and dump cycle setup. As you can see back here, for months they're having one PR, another PR, 2 months there's nothing, then there's a PR in December, and there's 2 months, and there's a PR in mid-February. So we're talking, 4 or 5 months with hardly any news releases at all. A month, sometimes there's 2 months in between, so it's dead, there's no news. And all of a sudden, on the 22nd, we're seeing a news release that's talking about restructuring, and basically what they're doing in this news release is they're going to place the proper documentation with pink sheets so that they will be considered up to date. So February the 22nd is a key position. That is them making their first step into this setup. Now we'll go along further. We got 2 more months, and during that 2 months we'll have the news story develop. This post right here in April, the beginning of April, basically states that they have a website, and at the end of their PR, they mentioned that there's going to be some share restructuring involved. And then after that, in late April, at the shareholders meeting, all the meeting news talked about is them raising money. Now, if you remember back with the pump and dump, you have restructuring, February 26th. They upgraded to pink sheets, so they're restructuring the company, getting ready to go. And then they're going to have a news story, or the PR blitz will start, where they start telling you about their website and how they're going to make money. And then they're going to talk about, there'll be a slight price increase usually around that period of time, and then you'll see them talking about some kind of funding being involved. So we're going from hardly no news to our setup to 2 news releases in 1 month, and then the stall. Well, the stall was in the news. Okay, the stall happened after April 26th, and so you can see through May there's no more news, there's not much action, but you can see that the volumes now are increasing slightly, because previously the volumes were less than 5 million shares a day. Okay, here's our February, where they're really accumulating because they're starting the whole game. February 22nd was the release that they were going to upgrade pink sheets. Okay, so there's their first plunge into the setup. Then volume is still down around 5 to 10 million shares a day. And then April they released the story, and they started releasing two PRs in 1 month. And as you can see, again, the major accumulations that are set up is getting larger and larger. Now, during the month of April and May, which there's no more news, you can see that the volume has increased. Okay, they're slowly but surely. The price is going from 0005. Slowly, people are hearing about it, and it's getting up to 001. Okay, at 001. Bang, this is their signal that they're done. They're set, they're ready, they got their story together, they've accumulated enough shares here, during the stall, and here. They're done. This is their, we're going to let go signal to you guys, and it's coming up. Okay, this is where you drop your fishing line in. Now, when you go large with the next double. Now, this is happening at 001. Your next double comes up at 002. We're getting into July. I'm sorry, we're actually getting into June. Now, as I previously mentioned, when we get our double is where you go large. So we came from our first line in to our first double. Once again, volumes are peaking, you're increasing your volumes, and attention is growing. Now, right around this point is where they actually let go of the thing, and the volumes are increasing, and they're actually starting to help this by buying it up and buying it up and buying it up. Now, I had mentioned that within the news cycle, the run usually takes off before the news is released, and in the news cycle, the actual news isn't released until here around June 18th or something like that. So this is where their momentum is going to die down, and this is when they're going to release their PR news and start pumping for the last surge up. This is where you get way up above the 10%. You get your 2 volume spikes showing you that the play is over, and the whole thing falls apart. Now, all this volume down here is the poor retail suckers trying to get out. Okay? Now, my research has shown that right around this period of time, at the bottom, at the low, at the death spot of the pump and dump, there's been a group getting together trying to form another float lock game. And what you're seeing here with all these is these people buying up shares, trying to lock up the float, thinking that they can force this thing to run again. But my opinion is the play is dead. The people that instigated this play have already sold these shares, the extra shares they accumulated here, and these shares into this run. And no matter how hard you try to get support from the company, you're not going to do it. In my personal opinion, this right here is just a last-ditch effort to save your butts after you're holding the bag from buying all these shares up here.